My wife is Amy Grant, fellow singer and songwriter, and as far as the record, it's just a testament to how much I care about her, how dear she is to me and my life.
At 67, Vince Gill is once again at the center of public attention, but not because of a new album or award. Instead, it is because of a wave of rumors, speculation, and long-whispered stories that have followed him for years. And now, according to fans and industry insiders, he has finally addressed parts of that narrative in a way that feels more open than ever before. But the truth is not a simple headline. It is not a dramatic confession or a single shocking sentence. It is a layered story, built across decades of music, friendship, loss, loyalty, and evolution. And to understand what people think he has confirmed, you have to understand the life that brought him here in the first place. Vince Gill's journey is one of those rare country music stories where talent, timing, and emotional honesty all collide. Long before the rumors, he was already considered one of the most respected voices in modern country music. With a smooth tenor voice and a guitar style that blends traditional country with soft rock and blues, he carved out a place that very few artists ever reach. His songwriting wasn't just about love songs or heartbreak. It was about real human experience, delivered without filters or pretense. From his early days, Gill showed a kind of musical instinct that couldn't be taught. He wasn't just playing notes, he was shaping emotion. By the time he entered the mainstream spotlight, he had already built a reputation as a musician's musician, someone equally comfortable on stage with country legends or cross-genre collaborators. But everything changed in a new way when he stepped into one of the most iconic bands in rock history. When tragedy struck the legendary lineup of Eagles after the passing of Glenn Frey in 2016, the future of the group suddenly became uncertain. The Eagles were not just another band, they were a cultural institution. Their harmonies defined an era, and their songs were stitched into the emotional memory of millions of listeners. Behind the scenes, difficult conversations began. Could the band continue? Should it continue? And if it did, who could possibly fill such an irreplaceable space? It wasn't a decision made lightly, but eventually, the answer came in the form of someone who wasn't trying to replace anyone at all. Vince Gill didn't walk into the Eagles trying to become the next voice of the band. He walked in as a steward of the music, someone who understood legacy, respect, and restraint. When he was invited to join, his response reportedly wasn't hesitation. It was curiosity mixed with humility. He wasn't thinking about fame. He was thinking about responsibility. That attitude became the foundation of his role. Instead of reinventing the band's identity, Gill focused on honoring it. Songs like Lion Eyes, Take It to the Limit, and Tequila Sunrise weren't treated as performances. They were treated as living history. He approached them carefully, almost reverently, ensuring that the emotional weight of the originals remained intact. Fans were initially unsure. Some questioned whether a country artist could truly fit into a rock legacy so deeply rooted in a different era. But the first performances quickly silenced most doubts. There was something seamless about the way Gill blended into the harmonies. He wasn't overpowering them. He was completing them. And that became a defining theme of his later career. Integration, not interruption. But while his professional life was evolving on massive stages, his personal life was unfolding in an entirely different direction, one defined by connection, partnership, and resilience. His relationship with Amy Grant has often been described as one of the most quietly enduring love stories in modern music. It didn't begin in a dramatic spotlight moment or a calculated industry pairing. Instead, it grew out of shared performances, mutual respect, and years of friendship before it ever became anything more. When they first met in the early 1990s, both were already established artists in their own right. Their chemistry was immediate but complicated by the realities of their personal lives at the time. What followed was not a rushed romance, but a slow unfolding. Years of professional collaboration, emotional distance, and eventual reconnection when timing finally aligned. When they married in 2000, it wasn't framed as a celebrity spectacle. It was a grounded decision between two people who had already lived full lives before finding their way back to each other. But the narrative that often follows Gill today isn't just about love or music. It's also about endurance. In recent years, both Gill and Amy Grant have faced serious health challenges that tested their strength in very public and very human ways. Grant's heart condition diagnosis and subsequent surgery in 2020 brought a wave of concern across the music community. It was a reminder that even iconic voices are still vulnerable to ordinary human fragility. Gill, meanwhile, stepped into the role of caregiver and emotional anchor. His public appearances became fewer during certain periods, not because he was stepping away from music, but because he was prioritizing something far more important than performance schedules. Then came another unexpected incident in 2022, when Grant suffered a serious biking accident that led to a brain injury and a long recovery process. For Gill, it meant once again stepping away from the stage when necessary and stepping fully into personal responsibility at home. These experiences reshaped how fans viewed him. He was no longer just a calm, steady voice on stage. He was someone navigating real-life fragility behind the scenes. And this is where the rumors that fuel the 67-year-old confirmation narrative begin to blur with reality. Over time, stories circulated suggesting Gill had privately acknowledged things about his career, his role in the Eagles, and even his reflections on fame that he had never spoken about so directly before. Some fans interpreted his more reflective interviews as confirmation of long-standing speculation. Others believed it was simply the natural evolution of an artist reaching a later stage in life, less interested in mythology, more focused on meaning. What is clear, however, is that Gill has increasingly emphasized honesty in his music. In recent interviews and performances, he has leaned into the idea that he is no longer writing to impress the industry or chase chart success. Instead, he is writing from observation, watching life, aging, relationships, and change unfold without trying to control the narrative. That shift alone has been enough to spark conversations among fans who are used to a more private version of the artist. He has spoken about songwriting as something that should breathe rather than force meaning. He has also expressed that collaboration matters more than recognition, a philosophy that explains why his work with so many artists, from country legends to pop icons, has remained so consistent and respected. But perhaps the most important part of his current era is not what he has confirmed, but what he continues to embody: stability in an unstable industry. At a time when music changes rapidly and public personas are constantly redefined by social media, Gill represents something different. He represents continuity. His presence in the Eagles lineup, his partnership with Amy Grant, and his ongoing creative output all point toward a life built not on reinvention for attention, but evolution for authenticity. So when fans talk about at 67, Vince Gill finally confirms the rumors. What they are often reacting to is not a single statement, but a long pattern of openness that has slowly replaced mystery. It is the realization that there may never have been a hidden scandal to uncover, only a deeply human story that people interpreted in many different ways. In the end, Gill's legacy is not defined by rumors at all. It is defined by consistency, showing up for the music, for the people he loves, and for the craft he has spent a lifetime refining. And perhaps that is the real confirmation fans have been waiting for all along. That one of country music's most respected voices never needed controversy to remain relevant. His truth has always been in the music itself.